to approve the agenda as printed. Thank you, Councillor Bennett, Councillor Poderica, all in favor. Thank you. And the adoption of some minutes, the special open minutes of July the 6th and the regular open minutes of July the 11th. Could we have a motion, please, for that? Councillor Poderica, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you. And we will now go down to water matters. And we have water matters for accounts payable for water councillors and council to receive for information. And as of July the 25th, they are in the amount of $117,643.03.
So
Thank you. Moved, seconded to water councillors that we approve those, all in favor. Thank you very much. And next is the Miss Curtis has a report from the Regional District Temporary Use Permit. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So this report is to recommend that council direct administration to respond to the RDOS temporary use permit referral, a 2023.017 TUP as follows. Approval not recommended for the following reasons. Recreational vehicles are not manufactured or designed as year-round residences and do not qualify as a mobile home. If a temporary use permit is issued, it may set a precedent for others within the RDOS, and the town of Osoyoos do the same. And water services to the subject property were disconnected in 2019. The current property owners have connected illegally to the town's irrigation water system. Administration was unaware of this connection, and the property owners, have not been paying for the service. So the subject property in question is located in the RDOS, very close to the town's boundaries on Highway 97. 55 meters away from the boundary to be exact. The subject property is located within the ALR and is zoned tourist commercial within the regional district's zoning bylaw for electoral area 8. Subject property currently contains one mobile home, unoccupied and unused, 3 RVs, one of which is inhabited by the business owner, a second by a business employee, and the third is used primarily for business-related storage, but occasionally the host family who come visit. 2 mobile vendors, 1 food truck operated on-site year-round and 1 food truck operated off-site, and associated infrastructure associated with those food trucks. The applicant applied for a temporary use permit with the RDOS because the current use of the property does not conform with the regional district's zoning bylaw. A temporary use permit is not intended to substitute as a rezoning application. However, a temporary use permit can be issued for up to 3 years and can potentially be renewed by the regional district's board of consideration for an additional 3 years. The application was submitted in an attempt to bring the property into compliance. The applicant asked for the maximum term of 3 years for the permit, during which time they intend to apply for a rezoning of the property. Administration is concerned that if a temporary use permit is issued for this property, allowing the residents to use the RVs as a year-round accommodation, it may set precedent for others to do the same. And the town's zoning bylaw speaks to recreational vehicles only being used for temporary accommodations for travel or recreational purposes. The town wishes to dissuade any notion that the town permits year-round habitation of recreational vehicles. Furthermore, on the RDOS's referral, it was stated that the subject property was serviced by town's water system. However, after some research, it was determined that the water services were turned off in 2019 after the demolition of the restaurant previously located on the property was removed, essentially. So administration was able to confirm that property owners have since illegally connected and connected to irrigation rather than the municipal water services. So our options today are in response to the referral request. The town and other referral agencies are provided with 4 options as follows. So 1, that council direct administration to respond to the RDOS temporary use permit referral, a 2023.017 TUP as follows. Approval not recommended for the following reasons. Recreational vehicles are not manufactured or designed as year-round residences and do not qualify as mobile homes. if a temporary use permit is issued, it may set precedents for others within the RDOS and the town of Osoyoos to do the same. And water services to the subject property were disconnected in 2019. The current property owners have connected illegally. The town's irrigation system administration was unaware of this connection, and the property owners have not been paying for the service. 2, that council direct administration to respond to the RDOS temporary use permit referral as follows. Approval recommended for the following reasons, blank and blank. That council direct administration to respond to the RDOS temporary use permit referral as follows, interests unaffected. Or 4, that council direct administration to respond to the RDOS temporary use permit referral as approval recommended subject to the following reasons, blank and blank. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council. Yes.
With option 1.
Your option number 1? Yes, the recommended option. Is there a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Bennett. Is there, I'm on the RDOS board, and from a board member's point of view, I would totally support this. So support the recommended option. All right, so are we ready? All in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Where are we at with the water service? Is it being paid for now, or is it, have we got back pay on it?
I don't know. Could we ask the planning department, or does Mr. Risling know whether we're paying for that or not?
Yeah, we're gonna, thank you very much, Mayor McCordorf, through the chair. We will follow up on that now that we've just been made aware of this
Mm.
the last 10 days or so. So we will be following up on it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is the accessibility plan. And that would be Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At our last CAL meeting, administration presented the accessibility plan, which is a plan that is legislated. And the deadline to have this in place is September the 1st of this year. And we're bringing this forward now to get adopted. There's also a second recommendation to make changes to the accessibility and age-friendly terms of reference to address the co-chair.
Right. That was brought up at our last meeting. So do those have to be done separately, those motions? Mrs. Hilson, Mrs. Robinson?
Yeah.
Yes,
They can be two separate motions. All right. So the first motion is that council adopt the accessibility plan dated July 25th, 2023 to fill the requirements of the Accessibility BC Act and to address the accessibility needs in our community.
I'll move that.
Thank you. Seconded. Moved Councillor King, seconded Councillor Bennett. All in favor? The second motion then would be that council approves accessibility and age-friendly terms of reference policy COM-005. Councillor King, Councillor Poderica, all in favor. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next. I think I've got these green markers in here, flip through. Okay, Mr. Davis, it's you again, the Resort Municipality Funding Request. Please
Thank
go
you
ahead.
again, Madam Mayor. We had a request from the community from an event organizer who was actually providing some funding back from our RMI funding. And then the same organization wanted to know if they could use that funding. We brought the request, was a $6,000 request to the grant evaluation committee. And the recommendation that's being brought forward is that council approved $2,000 from the unused Resort Municipality Initiative funds that was approved for the Christmas Artisan Market to the All Hallows Festival event. And that the remaining funds of $4,000 be made available for other special events.
Thank you very much. So this is a recommendation from the Community Services Grant Committee. Councillor King, are you
I'll
moving
go with
this?
option 1.
Thank you very much. Is there a seconder? Councillor Bennett? All in favor? Thank you very much. And you have another one, Mr. Davis, Local Government Infrastructure Planning Grant.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. administration has applied for a grant to help offset the costs of doing an asset management plan for our parks and for recreation facilities. And the part of the criteria is to get a resolution from council, and the recommendation to council is that council support administration to submit a local government infrastructure planning grant for the purpose of developing an asset management program for parks and recreation facilities.
Thank you. We know that we have to do lots of asset management programs, so would be one of the next ones on the list. Could I have a motion, please, from council? Thank you. Councillor Poderica. Councillor King is seconding that. All in favor? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay,
You're just hanging on.
next is Ms. McKay. Park Phase 2 Housing Agreement and Updated Policy.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So we're here today to discuss with you proposed changes to the selection process for the homes in the Meadowlark Plan area. This is for phase 2 of the near market housing program. So changes to the policy and also changes to the selection process in the policy. And then, of course, we're looking to repeal policy PLA 018, which is the Asusas Affordable Housing Authority policy. And I apologize, I did not attach that to the
I have a
report.
copy here.
Okay, so we can discuss that though,
Yeah.
certainly. Thank you. So returning council members will recall that the housing agreement was in response to the development of the near market housing program, which was part of the Southeast Meadowlark Plan area. You'll recall that in 2010, I won't recall, I wasn't here, but in 2010, of course, the program started in 2010 when town purchased the Richter property, developed the fire hall, and then subsequently phase 1 of the Meadowlark neighborhood was created. And of course, that program complied with the requirements of the Agricultural Land Commission with respect to 15% of the units being offered at 15% below market value. When the homes came up for sale in 2018, there wasn't a large appetite for the homes at that time. So the then prepared policy PLA -017 was amended, and some of the required information was removed from the plan at that time. And they also changed the requirement for the length of time that someone had to retain the home from the 15 years to 5 years. That being said, the program still states that if you sell the home within the first 5 years, you have to sell it back to somebody else on the list. And after the 5-year time, you're not required to sell it to someone on the housing list. So the homes can stay in the program for 15 years and be sold to persons if they do not retain the home for the 5-year period. So we have reviewed a lot of the information that's in the policy with sort of today's market conditions. And we've looked at specifically some of the criteria. And I would state that some of the criteria, like, for example, that you must be at the household income below or near the median household level in Asusas. Well, the median household level in Asusas is about $60,000 a year. So it'd be very difficult for someone to purchase a home on that kind of a salary in the current market conditions. So the changes that we're recommending in the policy would bring the policy more into line with what I think was the flavor and the intention. So I'm just going to go over what those recommended policy changes are. So we're looking at number 1, the applicants must be a current resident of the Asusas area extending out to the region as defined by the regional district of the Okanagan-Similkameen. So that looks at people that are already living and working in our communities. They must be a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident. Some council members will recall that we did allow someone to enter into the program that was a permanent resident who was seeking their citizenship for the first round of first intake. And then applicants must not own or be a party to any other real estate property. And they must be employed in or near the town of Asusas or within the regional district. In other words, they're people that are already members again of the area. And then that the applicant's financial institution must confirm that the applicant would not qualify for a mortgage for a home with a value greater than 25% of the home in the program. So for example, if the person made 500, the home is 500,000, they might apply for that home, but they would not qualify for a home at 625,000. So we think that that's really more in keeping with the spirit of the program. It reflects the need of the community to provide housing for residents of the area and residents that are included within the area. Additional changes to the policy also that would need to be considered is to remove the reference again from the combined household income needs to be near the market value. And again, I explained the rationale in the report. So again, as outlined in the previous report to council, that is in May of 2023, there have been a few names on the list to date. We did advertise again for the homes, and it was advertised in e-news, and then again, it was advertised in the local paper. We did see a few more people come and ask to be listed, for a possible home. They have all been contacted, and to date, there's only 3 people from the total list that are actually seriously interested in entering into the program. And in order to sort of expedite the process and rather than move forward, we'd like to council to consider offering the homes to those 3 interested parties on a first come, first served basis, of course, subject to meeting the criteria that's outlined in the amended proposed program. So I have attached an updated housing agreement. It would have to be reviewed, of course, by our lawyer to make sure that we've covered off everything, but we're quite comfortable with it this time. The original housing agreement was prepared by the town's legal counsel. So I'll leave it to you, Mayor McCord, to see if there's any questions at this time.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any questions or concerns? So I don't. I think I can remember going through the original policy and having it changed a couple of times as needed. And so I'm quite comfortable with the latest one. So what you would like is recommended. We go to that, or?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So again, the recommendation here is that council support the proposed changes to the selection process for the homes in the Meadowlark Plan area for phase 2 of the near market housing program by offering the homes on a first come, first served basis to applicants meeting the criteria in the updated policy PLA-017. And then there are 2 additional. I
We
think
need to vote on this first because there are 3 different motions here. Am I correct?
Correct.
Mrs. Hilson, yes.
And I just want to state that if council is going to approve the policy, they should do that first because the first recommended motion refers to
Policy, yeah.
meeting the criteria in the updated policy. So
I
if
thought
council-
of that first. Okay, so let's go to the second one listed, that council approves the near market affordable housing guidelines policy 20 PLA 017. Could we do that? Thank you. Councillor Poderica. Could we have a seconder? Councillor Bennett. All in favor? Thank you. Now we'll go to the one that Miss McKay just read, and with the proposed changes that we offer the homes on a first come, first served basis to applicants who meet the updated criteria that we've just passed. So could we have a motion like Councillor Bennett, Councillor Poderica, all in favor? Thank you very much. And the third motion that the town of Vesuvius Affordable Housing Authority policy PLA 018 be repealed. And that is the one that you were just, could you just explain what
That is correct. And thank you,
Okay.
Mayor McCordoff. Well, we removed the reference to the Affordable Housing Authority in PLA-017. So it would be prudent of us to remove, to repeal the Affordable Housing Authority policy itself. Now, this does not preclude us from coming forward. Should we be looking at other community housing project elsewhere, which we've been talking about recently? This does not say that we couldn't come forward and look at a policy specific to that project. But this particular policy was designed for the near market area and for the near market homes in the Meadowlark area, and it does not serve a purpose at this time.
Good. No, I totally agree. Is there a motion to repeal this or, yeah, to repeal? Thank you. Counselor Poderica, seconder, Counselor Bennett, all in favor. Thank you. And you've got, if you need a copy of it, it wasn't included. But I have one here if anybody wants to see it. So it's
Thank
the changes make this obsolete.
Thank you, Mayor McCarthy. I'd just like to add that we're going to be actually running another ad because we still have 2 more homes in the program. So we're going to run another ad starting on Thursday.
So I'd just like to say that I'm hoping that the 3 people that have decided they would like this will be contacted right away and allowed to move forward.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mayor
And
McCord.
thank you for coming. Our builders and so on back there. Thank you so much. Okay.
Your worship and council, thank you very much.
Oh.
We're glad to hear that it's going through, because we do have the 3 people that are waiting.
Oh.
Hopefully there will be others, and we thank you for all the efforts that have been
Oh.
put into this by the planning department, which I know has done a lot to make this thing come to fruition. So thank you.
Good. Well, go and get the keys ready for them and phone them.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Just went over.
Okay, where we at? We've got that one. 3 of those.
No.
27. So Mrs. Hilson, you're going to do the health and wellness policy amendment?
Yes, thank you, Mayor McCordoff. At the regular open meeting of July 11, 2023, council passed a motion that directed administration to bring report to council, which amended health and wellness policy HR 012 that included members of council as part of the town's health and wellness program. So before council is the amended health and wellness policy HR 012 that includes members of council, and it clarifies as well that all town employees, which would also include our paid on call firefighters, would be included in the health and wellness policy. So administration's recommendation is that council approves health and wellness policy amendment HR 012.
Thank you very much. Counselor Bennett, are you going to
Sure.
move this? Counselor Poderica is seconding that. All in, oh,
I got a
did you have a
question.
question? Sure.
The way it's written there, it says it includes paid on fire call firefighters and council. Does that also include spouses?
No,
think so.
Okay,
so
that's what I-
yeah, currently, when this policy was amended, I believe it was back in 2012. It took off spouses and immediate family members.
No, but now we're talking about putting them back on, so I'm just asking the question. Could we put them back on if we chose to?
If that was council's choice, yes, they could. That
That is not what the motion
Oh, I know
says
that's
though
not the
today.
motion,
Yeah.
so that was clearing some. Okay. I'm not asking it to go on, I
yeah.
was just kind of.
We could do that in the future if we so wish to make an amendment to
yes,
this.
council,
Okay.
it would be through the same process that council, it would be another notice of motion if that's what council so wished to
Okay,
do.
so let's vote on this one for now, because Zach and I don't have any added people that we need to include, right?
Tony does.
Too, there you go.
Okay, all in favor of the motion? Thank you very much. All right, next is the general net payroll and Sun Bowl Arena financial accounts. So the general cash requirements, what we're looking for is to receive for information purposes, general cash requirements of $2,512,187.49. Sun Bowl cash requirements of $4,337.39. And net payroll accounts of $136,008.14. Could I have a motion, please? Counselor Bennett, Counselor Poderica. Before we vote on it, can I just ask Mr. Zackel, the general cash requirements are quite high this month. Can you give us a quick explanation of why?
The best explanation for that is we made our school tax remittance, which was just under 2 million.
Okay, that would take up quite a lot of that. Great, thank you very much. Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? Thank you. Okay. And now we will go to bylaws, and that is Mr. Zackel.
Thank you, Mayor McCordoff. So before council is the 5-year financial plan amendment bylaw 1381.02. Section 165.2 of the community charter states that a financial plan may be amended by bylaw at any time. A financial plan must set out the proposed expenditures by the municipality, the proposed revenue sources, proposed transfers between funds. The information must set out each of the 5 years covered under the financial plan. The act requires certain particulars that must be included. However, the amount of detail is a matter for local determination. Financial plan must not plan for a deficit, and the proposed revenue sources plus transfers from other funds must not exceed the proposed expenditures and transfers to other funds. So the purpose of this amending financial plan is to adjust the budget for changes to the 2023 budget as referenced below. So the first one is we have our Sonora Room 1 upgrade. This was a 2022 project that was carried forward, but we had missed it when we did the financial plan. And that's a $15,000 coming from our own funds. The street light upgrades of $195,000. That was council's resolution earlier this year to utilize the growing communities grant funding to pay for that. We've got the RMI downtown revitalization. This was changing the budget from $282,514 to $1 million. And this is the 85th Street Plaza, which we were also recording the $550,000 grant that we received. Then we've got the OCP update for flood levels, floodplain and wave action bylaw. This was additional grant funding that we received for these projects. So we're just making those adjusting entries as well. Under the water flood works for water grants and the sewer flood works for that, these are also projects that were adjusted to actual grants that we received in 2023. Under collections of transfers of taxes, this is the balance to the tax requisitions that we received from BC Assessment Authority, Municipal Finance Authority, the RDOS for the hospital, SIR 911, and the school. These tax requisitions were received in May of 2023, and our financial plan was adopted back in February. So this is just getting those numbers updated. Under fire protection, a number of our fire protection levies were adjusted slightly, and this was to reflect the 2023 revised assessment roll. Likewise, we received that in early May. So that's just adjusting those numbers, and we are actually billing out based on those numbers to the Rural Fire Protection District and the OCS Indian Band for those. The revised budget package is available for viewing on the town's website. And as well, under public consultation requirements, Section 166 of the community charter requires council undertake a process of public consultation regarding a proposed financial plan before it's adopted. Advertisement is being placed in the Times Chronicle for the August 3rd and 10th editions to allow for the public to provide comment on the financial plan amendment bylaw prior to council considering adoption. The recommendations before council, or the options before council, is that 5-year financial plan amendment bylaw 1381.02 be read a first, second, and third time. Option number 2, that council direct administration to make additional changes to the 5-year financial plan and bring the bylaw back for the next regular council meeting for consideration. At this point in time, I'd like to pass it back to council with the recommendation of the 5-year financial plan amendment bylaw 1381.02 be read a first, second, and third time.
Thank you, Mr. Zackel. Counselor King,
Yeah, I'll move option 1.
thank you. Is there a seconder? Counselor Bennett. Okay. Are there any questions? We had a question this morning. Did you
Oh,
get
Jim
that
answered
answered?
it for me.
Okay,
Out of class.
out of class, okay. So, there are no other questions and we'll call the motion, all in favor. Thank you very much. Okay, that's, and I note there that the financial plan can be amended by bylaw at any time. So that means if something else happens or in future that you would come back to us.
That's correct,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you. So Ms. McKay, the Building Code Administration Amendment bylaw.
Yes, thank you, Mayor McCordhoff. So it's been since some time since we've considered amendments to the Building Code Administration bylaw. And I did want to let just council know that our new building official, Brian McClure, is looking at an overall update to the bylaw itself. But right now, I'm here to talk about the fees, and I'm requesting that council consider Building Code Administration bylaw 1251.02 be read a first, second, and third time. And the proposed changes in the bylaw reflect for the fees only at this particular juncture. And just to give you sort of an overview, we do charge a minimum fee of $50 for your application. So when you first make application to the town, it's $50. It's a standard fee for all of the applications, no matter the complexity of the proposed building or development. So we're looking at increasing the application fees at the time of submission for a non-refundable amount. And that can be seen in table 2. The updated fees. We would still continue on with the fee of $10 per 1,000, which you can see is quite consistent with other municipalities in the blue tables in here. And I'd like to thank Leah Curtis, planning technician at this time. She did a great job of putting this table together and did quite a bit of background research for us to see that we're kind of in line with other municipalities. The major consideration here is, of course, the new administrative fee, which is paid at time of issuance, and the amount of that fee is dependent on the cost of construction. And what this basically means is if you're building a larger scale development or a home greater than $1 million, then there's fees according to the value of the construction. This is to cover the costs of the building official's time to review the plans predominantly. It also requires additional visits to the site for inspections. So what we're looking at here again is these general updates, of course. And there's also some very general updates here. References, for example, number 1 under proposed general updates and rationale is that the reference to the 2006 reference to the building code should be removed because it's continually being updated. And Schedule B, of course, is we're looking to remove that in its entirety. And the rationale for that is that the proof of insurance and the schedules are a requirement of the building application submission. So before you today are the options. Number 1, which we'd like council to consider, that the Building Code Administration bylaw amendment be read for a first, second, and third time. Or number 2, that council determines the changes made be made to the proposed bylaw amendment, or option 3, that the Building Code Administration bylaw be abandoned. Thank you.
Thank you very
That is
much.
the amendment, not the whole bylaw. Thank you very much, Mayor McCarthy.
Thank you. So, council, could we have a motion on one of these items, please?
I'll move option 1.
Option 1, thank you very much. The recommended option. Is there a seconder? Councillor Poderica. Any questions or concerns? Okay, all in favor? Thank you, Councillor King. You in favor?
Yeah. If
Okay,
I don't put up my hand, I'm in favor. Right?
that's true. I just wanted to check that he was listening.
That's fine.
See if he's awake.
Okay, thank you. So now we will go on to the next thing is the CAO report.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll just give you an update of what's happening or has happened in town the last little bit. Me personally, I was able to attend a meeting with the Volunteer Alliance, a great group of folks that put on an abundance of festivities and events in the town over the year. So it was a really good meeting to just get some feedback and move forward. And I also was able to meet with the Cedars Golf Club. We were doing some fantastic work up there. like just a great group to work with, and it's provided an excellent opportunity for our residents and visitors to enjoy a first-class facility. And also met with the Osoyoos Indian Band, which again was a great meeting. Can't express my gratitude to their cooperation in dealing with things enough. As far as other things going on, Sun Bowl, the chiller was installed and ice is installed, so people can start renting the ice. From a bylaw perspective, we've been upping our patrols, as everybody knows, the last little bit. We've got some staffing there, so we're doing the things that people were complaining about last year, which includes looking at parking and unsightly premises. I've been looking at done a lot more park patrols this go around. And I think one of the key things that we keep talking about over the past years with regards to our water issue, they are in the process and have issued close to 50 tickets for violation of our water restrictions. And so people know, our bylaw officers are out in the evenings, midnight, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So they are looking at watering in times when they're not supposed to be watering. And the first fine is $300, and then you escalate to $1,000. From a financial services perspective, getting ready for a budget, we are planning to proceed with budget deliberations earlier this year, hopefully first part of September. Administration will be coming forward at our August 15th meeting as far as a preliminary, it's kind of a get the pulse on what council wants to include in the budget documents. It's a lot of work to prepare all those documents, so just having an idea of roughly where you're at will hopefully expedite the process once we get into the deliberations. That's again occurring on the 15th of August. Yeah, it doesn't limit your ability to change your mind during the budget deliberations, but it just gives the administration an idea of how to set up the budget. Always like talking about new businesses in town, of which we had 3 in the last little bit: Backroads Brewing, Phil's Flooring, and Lazy Day Gateway B&B. On the operational services side, just wanted to talk about, we've got some of the light poles are being replaced on Main Street. I know it wasn't the best of timing, but I think we all know that, they were in critical need of repair, and as such, they are being repaired now. Hopefully the next week or 2, that project will be completed. I know there's been a lot of talk down at the senior center with regards to the parking lot and the removal of the old curling rink or museum site. That parking lot that is there, we did go in and paint some lines. So there were some issues with parking down there. And we did paint some lines here recently. So hopefully that will be, the problems we're experiencing there will be mitigated somewhat. And I think that basically concludes the report. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Risling, I'm going to just say I was down at the senior center for dinner on Friday night because they offer hamburgers and hot dogs before music in the park. And when I walked in, several of them came up and said, "Thank you, thank you." And I said, "What have I done?" And they said, "You painted the lines outside on the parking lot." So I said,
Good job, Madam
"Okay,
Mayor.
good, we're glad." The other thing somebody else said to me at the same event was, "Thank you for getting the lights fixed up by Councillor King's place," because he was the one who did something about it, and the lights were fixed up there. And so it was nice to be there that night because they were all happy.
Glad to see council's working hard.
Thank you very much. So we need a motion. I haven't got the right format here, and so that's why we're making it up as we go along. So
We
I need,
apologize for
and we
that.
need a motion to accept the CAO's report, please. Councillor Poderica, Councillor King, all in favor. Thank you. And I'm just going to make up who of the council reports goes first, because there's not. We'll start with Councillor King. You're first.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Last week, I think Thursday, I was on a conference call on behalf of the mayor because she's a very busy lady at a meeting all day. And the minister involved was the Minister of Emergency Management and Climate Readiness, Bowen Ma, also the Minister of Agriculture and Food Plan, Pam Alexis, and Minister of Municipal Affairs, Ann Kang. And the main concerns going out to the public with all the fires in the province and letting the people know they're doing the best they can. They are bringing people in from outside the province to fight our fires. There is well over 300 fires in the province. Some are really getting out of hand, but they're trying to do the best they can. So thank you very much. There was also comments about the water restrictions. Please be aware, a lot of the reserves around the reservoirs around the province are getting very low. We are at a level 4 and 5, which is kind of maxed out. So please be aware of the amount of water you use. And also the amount some funding for agricultural people that if you had some damaged crops, I believe due to frost last winter, or if they got burnt in the sun this year and the crops didn't grow, there's actually some funding going to be announced to help farmers with renewing some of their crops or replacing their crops. So thank you.
Oh, and thank you very much for attending that, Councillor King. Councillor Poderica.
Not much report. Obviously, July 12th, I attended with council staff administration, the grand opening of Legion Beach. So we fortunately have MLA Rolly Russell with us. For the grand opening, beach is looking great. Washrooms are open, and I believe the fire chief did test the showers to make sure they all work. So it was a good start to the day. That's all I had to report.
Thank you very much. Councillor Bennett.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. My report's the same as Zach's.
No.
Oh, well, that's good. Can I just say, talking about the beach cleaner, I'll say a few things that the last couple of times I've been down there, the beach cleaner has been there at Legion Beach and it looks great. Apparently they do it every Wednesday. I think that's terrific because the beach cleaner hasn't been in the best repair for some years. And so it's nice to know that it's being repaired and it's working really well. It looks great and there are all kinds of people down there using that park. And that's terrific. So I attended the emergency management climate readiness meeting the week before Councillor King did, because I think they're considering the concerns with water and with fires. They are doing it probably weekly now. And you mentioned that the fires were up about 300. I just heard today they're up over 400, which is pretty scary. So there are no fires allowed anywhere in the province right now. And somebody got caught the other day up in the woods and they could see the smoke and they went in and they got fined. So you know what? We just can't do that because there's more and more fires all the time. One of the things that was mentioned 2 weeks ago was we need to conserve water now. And I know it was on the Vancouver news, it was on Kelowna news. It's the talk of what's going on everywhere right now, because we need to look after our water. We have to be thinking about it. And some years back, I said that I thought that people should have 3-minute showers. And I said this on CBC or something like that. And my sister in Vancouver heard it and was horrified and said, "You can't say that." And I said, "I just did." And it's minutes on there. Anyway, I'm back on the 3-minute shower kick because I think that's certainly one way to not only, I know that we use a lot of water outside on our lawns, and that seems to be the predominant use of extra water at this time of year. I get that. We are taking care of that right now and looking at how people can conserve water, use less. And so 3-minute showers are a good way to do it. Use less water in your house, recycle. Take the water that you use to wash your vegetables and use it on your potted plants. Anyway, there's all kinds of things, but everybody is suggesting this. So look at how you can just be conscious of what you're using, because we've been so used to just sort of turning on the tap and thinking, okay, I'll do this and this and this. Turn it off and only use it when you absolutely need to. And I would hope that everybody, and I've checked, and I know there are a couple of people in this room that have gone on and taken the pledge, make water work. And there are a couple of people in this room that haven't done that yet. So I'm hoping that everybody will make water work, take the pledge, because the only group that's higher, if you look at the very bottom, than us is Kelowna, but they have more people that have done it, but it's based on a percentage. So we're number 2, and I want to be number 1. Okay, so everybody needs to do that. We also have, because of the heat, and I know it's not that hot today, but we also have a cooling center set up at the Sonora Center. And you know what? That's one of the things that Minister Ma said. I hope you have a cooling center, hope you're conserving water, and can you please fire smart your property? So, you know, there's lots of good information out there now about what you should plant, how you could clean up your property. Don't plant things right close to the house. You know, certain types of plants and trees that are much more suited to our climate than others, and cedars are not one of them. So, which we have quite a few of in our area. So we just need to be thinking about that when we replant things. So those are all things that we need to think about right now. Music. Oh, I was at Music in the Park the other day. As I said, I went to dinner at the seniors first, and then went to Music in the Park, and then on Saturday went to Market on Main. So those are on every weekend, and I encourage people to go and visit those because they're great events. I was also at the RDOS on the 20th. Then we were talking quite a bit about the emergency management program and how we can do it in the whole regional district. So those are all kind of related, and those are the kinds of things that we have to look at. So right now, in terms of water, we are still at a level 3, but close to level 4. Many areas of the province are level 5, which is the highest level that you can get at. So we all need to be careful about how we're helping to protect our assets. And I think that's all that I had for today. So I will go on to the in-camera section. Pursuant to section 91 of the community charter, a part of council meeting may be closed to the public if the subject matter being considered relates to or is any one of the following. Section 1E, the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements. If council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality. And is that the only one that we have today, Mrs. Robinson, or was there another one? There was another section.
Section 91E and section 91G.
Okay. And 91G.
Litigation or potential litigation.
That again.
Litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality.
Litigation or potential litigation. So that was the second part of the in-camera. Could I have a motion, please, to move in camera? Thank you. Councillor Poderica, Councillor King, all in favor.